music every time we hit that live button. But don't now, something like that. You know what I mean?
Good evening. Welcome to Big Facts. A little end of our discussion there. We watched a great game on Sunday. Not really. One of the worst, cruelest Super Bowls you'll see. A lot of factors that went into this Super Bowl we're going to discuss today. Justin, what were your thoughts during and after the game, especially right around the third quarter when you always thought Kansas City would come back at some point, and then middle of the fourth when it just never happened?
Well, I got to tell you, going back, I really can say this confidently. It was over in the end of the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It was over at the end of the first half. I didn't see it live time because I genuinely believed in this Kansas City Chiefs team. And what's really fucking frustrating is how disappointing that game was. That should have been mano a mano, Titan versus Titan, like just the greatest that there ever was and the best that there is right now. And it was a fucking letdown. Listen, this is Andy Reid though. I really want to make my heat go where it needs to be directed. And to be completely honest with you, the referees caused a couple of momentum swings. I'm not going to take away from them, but they still didn't score a touchdown all game. So the referees did not win that game for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay did their job, but when you're Andy Reid and you call timeout with 50 seconds left on the clock on a dud first down play thinking you're going to get the ball back, I'm with you. Okay, you be a little aggressive, you're going to get the ball back. When you call the second timeout after an 8-yard gain, fucking mind-blowing. I just don't – he's as many accolades as I've given Andy Reid over the last couple of years at learning and growing, he just took 10 steps backwards for me.
So this performance, Justin, because we started putting Andy Reid in this different light because it's very rare to win back-to-back Super Bowls. It's also pretty rare to get to back-to-back Super Bowls. It's more likely, but it's less likely that you actually win them. So winning back-to-back hasn't been done in 17 years. Bill Belichick was the last to do it, and it was 20 years ago. So you can't be like, oh, well, he lost 2 Super Bowls. But the fashion in which that game was lost, the fashion in which he was out-coached by Raheem Morris, like just out of this world, out-coached by Raheem Morris. Baldy, we give Baldy a lot of shit for his takes.
You mean Todd Bowles, bro?
No, I'm talking about Baldy, the analyst. I'm going in a different direction here.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
We give Baldy a lot of shit, but his breakdowns of offensive line play, defensive line play, and the little skits he does on Instagram are very good. He actually can break down the game. He just has some bad takes when he talks about it. Doesn't really coincide. I don't understand why one's great.
Bad takes because of the fucked up pinky finger.
Whatever it is. So there's a play, where one of the wide receivers is running across the line. He goes on like a wheel route, kind of the way a running back would if he was running a little wheel route.
Yeah.
And because of the pressure, the lack of adjustments, the wide receivers were not turning around on time. He was getting so much pressure so fast, and it seemed like the wide receivers were almost unaware that it was happening and weren't turning around in time. Like, you have to know that there's a blitz coming from this way if you're on this side and be able to turn around and catch the football. The offensive line was bad, but the coaches didn't put the offensive line in a position to succeed. If you're getting –
well, so I want to jump in on this. Andrew, welcome, buddy. I haven't seen you comment ever yet, so thanks for joining, bud.
Yeah.
So this is another Andy Reid problem. So there were 68 plays called by the Kansas City Chiefs. The biggest glaring issue is that 57 of them were called design passes. That's just Andy Reid. We know who he is. He doesn't run the football. That's just not what he's ever done. It's wrong, and it's another reason why they lost the game. But this is just Andy Reid. The biggest problem, though, that gets overlooked in that statistic is that Andy Reid called 68 plays, and not one time on a passing play was there more than the 5 linemen assigned a blocking scheme. No tight ends, no running backs, no fullbacks, no, not even shuck blocks where there's a rub route out to a wheeler. And there was literally not one time was Patrick Mahomes given an extra blocker. And that, I think it was you that sent it to me. Patrick Mahomes scrambled for 400 and 98 yards in one game.
Yeah.
That is fucking unbelievable. And again, dude, it's an indictment on Andy Reid. And Andy now, as you said, we've been talking about before, was kind of climbing the ladder and looking like he was going to be a guy. I don't know how Andy cracks the top 5 now. I think he's 7 and always looking up.
He looked last year like he changed a little bit. But you made a point to me several times, like, it looks like he changed, but it's easy to look like that when you have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and dude, this was Pat Mahomes could not be a big enough effect over the deficits of Andy Reid.
Let's not forget, last year, I know they won, and they ended up winning that game quickly against the Niners last year. But going into the fourth quarter, they had only scored 10 poins. So now you have back-to-back Super Bowls where at the end of the third against San Francisco, you had 10. And at the end of the third, the whole game, you had 9 on this Super Bowl. More credit to the defense, the defensive scheme, or did Kansas City just lose this game?
Oh no, bro! I mean, Todd Bowles created the perfect defensive scheme. Now, with that being said, I think the kudos that goes to Todd Bowles goes directly into my point about Andy Reid never being able to crack the top 5 ever, because Andy Reid has been around long enough to understand. You and I can understand this. When you're playing a team like Tampa Bay and you're a stretch offense like Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill are, and they open that game playing cover 2 safety, how do you get that defense out of cover 2 safety? You run the football.
Run the ball, yeah.
You make that safety have to play the box, and that opens up a deep threat for Tyreek Hill. So
just
Todd
not
Bowles,
to mention real quick, Edwards-Helaire was averaging 8 yards a carry at 8 carries for 64 yards.
And Todd Bowles did, in my opinion, Todd Bowles created the perfect scheme, but there's nothing that Andy Reid could not have done better with. That's really where the problem is. Andrew, I agree with you, dude. There's no doubt that the defense was pretty much flawless. And this is the key, though. It wasn't just Todd Bowles' defense. Tom Brady probably played the best game of his career. That was
at least the best half.
Yeah, it was a near perfect game from Tom Brady on the heels of all of those times that defense had not only held back momentum from Kansas City, but recaptured it back to Tampa Bay. And it was a perfect game plan. And I can't fucking believe Bruce Arians-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers outsmarted, outwitted, and outcoached an Andy Reid team. It blows me away.
Now, let's break this down, too. So there was 3 touchdown passes that were thrown in this game. All 3 of them were to guys that Tom Brady was like, hey, I need this guy on my team if I'm coming over here. That Gronk wouldn't go play for anybody else.
No.
Nobody wanted Antonio Brown. Nope. And then you got the other touchdown by Leonard Fournette. So what the Bucs did, and we've seen this a couple times, and I just want to mention this again because it's unbelievable. You're seeing teams that are winning championships that everybody's saying you gave up too much for or over the hump, whatever the case might be. I just watched the Lakers 2 years ago trade their entire nucleus of the core they were building and all their draft picks for Anthony Davis, and everybody was saying for 6 months that they gave up too much to get Anthony Davis, and they win a championship their first year with him. They go all in on Tom Brady. Tom's like, hey, I'm going to come 2 years. Everybody's saying I'm old, but guess what? I need Gronk. I need Antonio Brown. I need Leonard Fournette.
And look, this is an important point I've made to you a couple times over the last couple of days. I really believe that Chris Godwin's going to take a 1 year, $7 or $8 million deal, squeak under the number, and they're going to run this back again in Tampa Bay. And don't make any mistake about this. Unless Jim Irsay reaches in his pants and finds his big boy nuts and gives up 6 or 7 first-round draft picks to blow Houston's doors off the hinges and get Deshaun Watson, I don't know that there's a team in this league that if Tampa Bay runs this team back is going to compete with Tampa Bay.
With the same coaches.
That exists. Exactly.
With the training camp.
Now, what I will say is if I am the Houston Texans, what that game was to me was the 2 guys that you should be looking at to lead your franchise as a head coach in Eric Bieniemy on one side, drafting up what was supposed to be the most potent, high-powered offense in history. And Todd Bowles, the guy who floundered with the Jets, looked like he couldn't figure it out, goes down and plays with a real franchise quarterback on offense where he does not have to do anything but focus on the defensive side of that football. Not that they don't have great players. Levante David's a great player. Jason Pierre-Paul, phenomenal pass rusher. They have a lot of good talent, but Todd Bowles was the leader of that locker room. And Todd Bowles, against all odds, I mean, we talked about it, the big money was on Tampa Bay, but 58% of the money was on Kansas City for a reason. Todd Bowles, to me, if I'm Houston, bro, I'm calling Todd Bowles and saying, hey, man, what's your address? Here's a blank check. Write whatever fucking number you need on it. We'll find a way to keep Deshaun Watson here and get some help in this fucking franchise. Come lead this ship, because how the fuck did you do that?
Now, the other thing you have to look at, and we had talked about this on the phone. You said, well, who's going to beat Tampa Bay next year? And I'm going to tell you it's going to be difficult. It's hard. We know it's hard to repeat, and Tom Brady was the last guy that did it, so we know it's possible. But they have $38 million in cap space, and Mike Evans literally just said that he would take a pay cut to bring some guys back. So they're going to have the same team with a training camp, with probably or close to the same coaches in a defense that just held Kansas City to 9 points. Now, the Chiefs on the other side of this, Justin, they are 26th in the league as far as cap space goes. They have negative $12 million in cap space, and that's with losing. Listen to this, Just. Losing. These guys are all unrestricted free agents. Sammy Watkins, Alex Okafor, their defensive end, Demarcus Robinson, their starting center, their starting left guard, who was a Pro Bowler, the backup right tackle that played in the Super Bowl, Sorensen, their starting strong safety, Breeland, their starting defensive back, Damian Wilson, their starting linebacker, and then their backup center, Taco Charlton, and their backup running back in Darrell Williams. They are losing starters and depth, and they're not going to be able to re-sign. And this is, again, one of the points that we started off when we started this podcast, is that teams that win Super Bowls either have a guy that's one of the best in the league at the top of his game that isn't getting paid like the absolute best in the league, or they have a guy on a rookie deal where the defense is just incredible.
My man said it's the whole team. You're right, Andrew. It's the whole team. Now, listen, Ron, I want to, in my Jason Peters voice, I want to run this now. I want to shift this after that tremendous setup of how bad it is for Kansas City and who's leaving and how are they going to compete again.
Yeah.
I cannot take any more days of speculation of these fucking Carson Wentz trades. And here is really where my problem lies. I cannot accept a world that exists where Carson Wentz is going to be traded for Nick Foles. I don't care about the rest. Now, you mentioned something to me that I have since corroborated. Tariq Cohen has come out. I won't say come out publicly, but it's been discussed in the public realm. He's been told by management he's going nowhere.
Right.
So Tariq Cohen is not the player. You mentioned Roquan Smith, who is, I'm salivating thinking about Roquan Smith. That would be if you could get the 20th overall pick in the first round and Roquan Smith for Carson Wentz, holy shitballs, Batman, you have struck gold.
Yeah.
I am interested in that trade, but it cannot amount in Nick Foles. It just can't happen. We built a shrine to this motherfucker 3 days after he won a goddamn Super Bowl. He is the single solitary reason that $130 million of this franchise's money was squandered. It's Nick Foles. If Nick Foles didn't happen, Carson Wentz doesn't get ruined. Now, Nick Foles happened and got us a Super Bowl. I'm happy about that. I love you, Nick Foles. We appreciate you. But you need to go out like Old Yeller behind somebody else's barn. I don't have space for you here.
So, again, there's the worst case scenario for both Carson Wentz, the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts is for Nick Foles to either be traded or Carson Wentz to be traded to where Nick Foles is at. Carson is not going to want to be in a QB room with Nick Foles anymore. I know they're friends, but his ego has been ruined by that. if Nick Foles comes back here, here's the issue. I know everybody was bring him in. He's going to be a mentor to Jalen. Well, first of all, he's a $20 million cap hit mentor, and we already have cap issues. I'd rather try to find a way to reduce that. But if you're getting winning Carson Wentz, you're eating 25 anyway, whatever the case might be. The first time Jalen Hurts has a bad game, everybody in Philadelphia is going to be asking for Nick Foles. And this situation is 2.0. We've seen it already. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm not winning another Super Bowl with Nick Foles. There's nothing that Nick Foles gives this franchise because he gave us a Super Bowl. He's not giving us another one. The guys who coached Nick Foles are not here anymore. So if you're thinking you're going to get some magic with the Dougie P and the Frank Reich and Nick Foles coming together and all of a sudden, something comes to fruition and we make the playoffs, it's not going to happen. Again, 2 good games. I don't want to keep talking about it. It's just it's a ridiculous trade. It doesn't make any sense.
Let me propose a situation to you, right? Let's say that Carson gets traded to Chicago and it's who gives a fuck with who gives a shit else, and you've got the 20th overall pick. We know that's a part of it, right? Carson's gone. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback on your roster. On draft day, when the Eagles get put on the clock, and at number 6, you have in front of you Justin Fields, and by the grace of God himself, Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
What do? You
take Devonta Smith.
So you have seen enough in Jalen Hurts to believe that if the roster were built the right way, you could win with him.
I know you can win with him. I don't think he's ready to win you playoff games against the better teams in the NFC, but I also don't know what I'm getting with any rookie quarterback at this point. He did. Listen, I'd rather. I'm on a short leash with this, and I think we probably both are. I'm still in the camp that I'd rather have Carson Wentz, and I don't really think it's that close. I think that the talent is there, and if he gets his mind right.
Well, pause. Are you saying you'd rather Carson Wentz over Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
You're entirely alone in this.
I'm not convinced. What convinced you?
It's not about what Jalen Hurts did. It's about what Carson Wentz can't. It's about I have had a quarterback for 5 years. I had one really good year of overachievement when the coaches that babied him and treated him like a fucking princess were here. And the second the challenge came, he just broke down day after day, week after week, year after year, regressed to the point of one of the worst seasons statistically of any Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. It's not about Jalen Hurts. It's about I want anything other than Carson Wentz. I saw let Carson Wentz go, trade him, and sign Dak Prescott. I'm here for that over Carson Wentz. Well, I am done with Carson Wentz. He is soft. He is weak. He does not deserve the position that he was given. He does not deserve $128 million. He's not the guy we were promised. So Jalen Hurts still has potential. Carson Wentz has burned it with me.
It's a better rebuild with Jalen, obviously. But you're not going to – this is a rebuild year anyway. Regardless of whether you trade him, you're losing out on a ton of cap space. And you're all – the Eagles, I know you've seen this going around Facebook, negative $41 million. I think we already knew that, but just seeing it, I'm looking at it. They're second to last to New Orleans.
Dude, Jeff Lurie bought this team for like $300 million, and it's worth like $3 billion. That doesn't fucking matter to this guy. This guy's got more money than we'd ever understand.
It does in a year. It does in a year. He knows he's not going to win anything.
It doesn't matter because the Eagles market is so large all the time, regardless of a 4-win season. We saw that this year. Even with COVID, they still made the ends meet. They still paid the bills. This is the problem, bro. You are going to have to eat Carson Wentz. We all know this, right? Because here's what happens.
Why not keep it for another year?
Because what is better, right? If you have Carson Wentz come back next year and he is a B minus B level quarterback, he's Matthew Stafford in Detroit, right? Not what we think Matt Stafford might be able to do with that St. Louis team.
That's a good scenario.
Not what Matt Stafford can do with that loaded St. Louis team, because you do not have that level of talent in the city. I mean Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford. I mean 10 years of 8, 9, 10-win football, maybe a playoff win if you're lucky, but never another deep run. If that is the Carson Wentz that you're going to end up with, you are stuck paying him. You'll never get out of that contract. And what you have now, which is special in this current circumstance because of COVID, you have so many teams that are starved for quarterback. You can get value out of Carson. What happens if Carson Wentz comes into the preseason and plays 2 games and Jalen Hurts plays 2 games and Hurts is 2-0 with 8 touchdowns and a pick and 400 yards a game, and Carson Wentz is 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, and 2 lost fumbles, and God forbid an injury? Now you can't get rid of him. Now you couldn't get a 5th-round pick if you wanted.
You think that even after his bad year, the Eagles will get more value for him right now after 1 bad year than they would with him playing at a B- level next year?
This is such a false dichotomy of a bullshit narrative that all these fucking Philadelphia fans want to create right now, and it's making my nuts itch. It wasn't 1 bad year. It was 1 great year that progressively worsened into the worst year. Now, I would agree with you. Next year can only go up because this year was so bad. But if he does not turn that around, a 180-degree turnaround where he looks like 2017 Carson Wentz, no, all the value you have built this offseason is now gone. Poof, up in smoke, out of here. Because Doug Peterson's an excuse you can lean on right now. You can say that Doug lost the quarterback. If you bring him back with Nick Sirianni, the young fucking offensive guru, he's going to build the next great offensive system. He's here to work with quarterbacks guy. If Carson fails under that guy to exceed expectations, you're going to lose all of your value. So let me ask you it this way. Would you rather get 1 or 2 first-round draft picks for Carson Wentz now or a 4th or 5th-round pick for him next year? It's a simple question, right?
I get the logic behind it, and it makes sense. I just know it's gonna bite us in the ass, and everybody's gonna be saying we made a mistake.
Listen, I'm gonna say this to everybody, and this is a fact. Carson Wentz has potential. If Carson Wentz got his dream and wound up in Indianapolis with Frank Reich, who treats him like a fucking princess and puts his beaky in his mouth every time he gets upset, Carson Wentz might win an MVP. Carson Wentz is probably going to win a Super Bowl. I can say that because Frank Reich is the guy that's built for Carson Wentz, right? It's like Carson Palmer and Matt Stafford, and go back to Kurt Warner. Until Kurt Warner got the perfect scenario, he was not a championship quarterback.
Nagy's in that coaching tree too, by the way.
Right, and that is the type of situation Carson will need to end up in. He can't play here anymore. Yeah. And like, this is a big thing that was on the radio today. I can't remember whose show I was listening to. Might have been Marks and Reese in the afternoon. They were arguing about whether it mattered if Carson Wentz wanted to be here. And Ike was saying it doesn't. I'm paying him $35 million a year.
Oh, it matters.
My money. You don't want to be here. Tough shit. I'm paying you. You go show up in the locker room. And Marks was saying, from his perspective, if you don't want to be here, you're a detriment to my team, which is obvious, right? Now, Deshaun Watson said, I want out. Carson Wentz hasn't said that, but he also hasn't said anything at all and removed Philadelphia Eagle from his Instagram bio. Carson Wentz asked for a trade quietly, respectfully, like a good old white Christian.
With him removing it from his bio, does that mean that there's a trade on the table?
No, it's done. It's done. They know what's going on.
So what I'm hearing and thinking is that they're sending out these reports that teams are offering them value and they haven't pulled the trigger yet because, again, like you said, they want a Matt Stafford package, and they're not getting a Matt Stafford package right now. I think they're trying to drive the price up, and they might have something on the table that they're ready to pull the trigger, but they might wait a couple weeks to see how desperate this gets, because we talked about this before again on Sunday. There's a lot of QBs changing teams right now, and the longer they wait and QBs start to fall into place, the value starts going down, not up. But there's certain teams.
But bro, if you can get let's talk about Chicago. Forget Tariq Cohen and Roquan Smith again. Who cares about the player? 6 weeks ago, if you told me I was going to get the 20th overall pick for Carson Wentz this offseason,
they were begging for it.
I would have told you were fucking nuts.
Yeah,
run away fast before they realized that they fucked up. Why are we starting to romanticize Carson's potential resurgence?
Yeah, you're right, because we thought 6 weeks ago that we were going to have to give up picks to send him
to get rid of him.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, why are we now romanticizing this idea of maybe Carson comes back? Because let me tell you something. If it's Nick Sirianni, you're a fucking Looney Tune. If anything that motherfucker said gave you hope, I don't know who the fuck. Whatever you've been smoking, come share some with us.
I'm going to tell you why. Sixers fans, when they go through periods of, Philadelphia fans, when they go through periods of losing, there's always a guy that comes up that's supposed to be the savior of the franchise. It's the same reason why even when Ben goes on streaks for 3 weeks where he's a 12-6 guy, we still don't want to trade Ben Simmons. It's because he was our baby number 1 pick. Carson Wentz was we idolized that number 2
No. I can't let you do this. I can't let you do this.
That's what happened. It's the same thing.
No, I can't let you do this because they're so incomparable. It's not even close to funny.
I'm not comparing them as players.
Ben Simmons has an effect day by day, game by game.
I'm not saying he doesn't. That's not where I'm going. I'm saying when we have a losing season or a couple losing seasons, we put so much value into that high draft pick. We want it to work out because we think it's the savior of the franchise, and it's not. Embiid ended up being the savior of the franchise.
Well, right. I mean, again, we've discussed this countless times. We all thought that Ben Simmons was LeBron James 2.0. Now that we know that he isn't, Embiid is the crown. That's why he got the nickname, the process. He's the crown jewel of the process.
Right.
But putting Carson Wentz was the 2nd overall pick, and that's why. I'm sorry, bro. You got to know when to say die. You have to know. The Arizona Cardinals, I drafted Josh Rosen, 3rd or 4th? And then immediately followed it with Kyler Murray 1st overall. Yeah. They knew they fucked up. Yeah. You still invested that pick. It was a lot of resource, but they ate their
hat. They hadn't paid Josh. They also hadn't paid Josh Rosen that money yet.
I get you. You fucked up harder, but it doesn't mean that the fuck up's different. You still fucked the same thing up. You believe that you had the guy to lead you. And, dude, look at these reports. I know Rob Maaddi comes out and says shit like Carson's not hated in the locker room, and I do believe him. I don't think that Carson Wentz is hated by anybody.
No.
He's a fucking Humpty Dumpty,
nice
happy-go-lucky,
nice kid.
Pasty ginger Christian kid that doesn't upset anybody. That's what I think Carson is. Jalen Hurts gets motherfuckers up for work. If you listen to what players say about Jalen, fuck Carson. Listen to what they say about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that leads men. He's a guy that walks into the locker room and wants to lead. People naturally follow him. He was in the coach's office so often that they had to ask him to leave after hours. He's a kid that wants to work. We saw this at Alabama when he was benched for Tua and then came back. We saw it when he went to Oklahoma and took over that program. This is a kid that sees opportunity and seizes it. I have no idea what his talent level is going to be at the peak in the NFL. But when it comes to what's inside, what's in his heart, this motherfucker's got it. And Carson Wentz doesn't know how to spell heart. That's the problem. This is Philadelphia, bro. We're not fucking Carolina. Like, you know what I mean? We're not fucking San Diego. We're Philadelphia, bro. You cannot be weak in this city.
Once the city and the fans turn on you, it's impossible to make a career here. We've seen it countless times.
And he asked for it, bro. Yeah. He created this situation. It was all about him all he had to do at the end of the season, one fucking tweet, Ron, one sentence. Can't wait till next year. Can't wait to lead this team. Something. Give us something. But when you stay quiet and take Philadelphia Eagles off your Instagram bio in the middle of the night for no fucking reason, you know some shit that we don't know. And I think what's happening is I don't know that Deshaun Watson gets traded. I think that's what everybody is waiting for. If Deshaun Watson gets traded, every other shoe in the air drops immediately the next day. Every quarterback that's on the market gets traded. It all happens after Deshaun. But I don't know if he's going to get traded. And I think that's what's holding this up. I think Indianapolis thinks they've got a shot at Deshaun.
There's Watson. There's waiting to see what the Jets are going to do because they have the number 2 pick in Sam Darnold.
Nobody fucking wants Sam Darnold. Stop.
I understand, but if you think the price for Wentz is too high, you might consider Sam Darnold. There's a lot of quarterbacks you're going to consider getting if they're asking for more than what Wentz it seems to be worth right now. Let's take a quick break, and we'll get into a couple teams we think could have a bounce-back year next year based on free agency, cap space, draft picks, things of that nature. We'll go into that. We didn't have some great predictions this year, so we got to do a little better. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Sleep on the Bucks again.
All right, we're back on reverse sides. So just
Because I won the debate last time because Carson Wentz needs to get fucking traded. Go ahead.
that's the win. Okay, we'll see what happens when he gets traded. I'm sure. I'm hoping it. I'm tired of it getting dragged out, man. It's like pull the trigger or don't. Like do one or the other. I mean, just figure it out.
Like the 2020 election, it felt like it lasted 3 fucking years.
Fans, the players want to know who their quarterback is next year. You know, they get mentally prepared for it. Stop fucking around.
They got jerseys to buy and shirts to fucking stamp.
That's right. They got hopes to give and watch them go down the drain.
Bets to make, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, some interesting teams with a lot of cap space, bud. What are you thinking about next year? Who's the bounce back team? Who's going to come up? Who's going to drop down? I know I got a team that I know is going to drop down.
If you say the New Orleans Saints again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
It's going to happen. Drew Brees didn't announce retirement yet, but if it's going to be what's his name back there, it's going to happen. So who do you got?
So I don't know that I want to call them a bounce back team, but I definitely see it come up. I think the Rams got infinitely better with Matt Stafford. I think Jared Goff has such questionable decision-making skills. I don't know that they're a championship contender with Matt Stafford, but I think they're definitely better. And I'm really interested to see Matt Stafford play with a team that complete. I mean, this is basically, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when it happened. This is like Carson Palmer landing on like the fucking most loaded roster you could imagine 4 years before he retired, given a real shot. So I'm really curious to see how that goes. I think the Rams have a chance. As for a fall off, bro, I can't believe that I'm going to fucking say this as adamantly as I am. I question whether the Kansas City Chiefs make it out of the first round next year. I really believe that they are going to come to a point. Like everybody is missing in this ether, and I don't want to bring it up to make it a big point, but Andy Reid's son and the shit that he got into, his fucking kids, dude, and his family are just a fucking dude. They are a Boeing 757 full of fucking baggage and drama.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It really is, and I really wish, dude, as a parent, it's one of the hardest things to do in life. It's the hardest job I've ever had is raising my kids. And for some reason I keep fucking having them, but it's difficult. I sympathize, but that level of distraction creates a ripple. And I really see over the course of the next 3 years, Andy Reid realizing that he needs to go spend some fucking time with his family. And it's going to turn into some turmoil out there. They're going to have Patrick Mahomes. They're not going to be bad.
How much of an effect? Let's just backtrack for a second, because I was thinking about this before the game, and my thought initially, I mean, I was wrong about seemingly every thought.
Everything.
My thought was, okay, the players see what's going on, and they're going to want to step up, and they're going to want to, play well for Andy Reid. But it wasn't just out coaching. It was just the lack of adjustments, and like his mind wasn't in the game, and it reflected on his players. I mean, even the timeouts, like, where is your mind right now? Are you really concentrating on this football game? And we talked about this before the game. We said Tampa at home, feeling the life of the city. Most of the units on Tampa Bay are better than most of the units on the Bucs, but there's a massive coaching advantage, a massive quarterback, and there wasn't. They got dominated. So with them being under the cap the way they are, with them losing all the free agents that they're going to lose, and with Patrick Mahomes having the size of the contract he does, I agree with you. I mean, there's going to be teams that take steps in the air.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that Kansas City won 10 games, 11 games, and they lost a 5-point game in the first round to Buffalo next year, I'd sign on for that. I believe you, because I think that Buffalo is a better team. I think that let's say that they find a way to get savvy and hold on to half those guys that you mentioned.
Yeah.
The amount of holes that you create now not only leave you vulnerable to a good team like Buffalo or Indianapolis or any of those good teams. Now, what if New England got a halfway decent quarterback and we're a 9 or 10 win team? What if Baltimore finds a way to devise an offense that can feed off the defense, and Lamar Jackson doesn't have to make throws in the fourth quarter? Yeah. They are now very vulnerable. I mean, that's why when it comes to the NFC, dude, I think the Eagles are going to be the worst or one of the biggest surprise teams because it depends on what they do at quarterback. But I really believe, dude, Tampa Bay, to me, unless Deshaun Watson goes to one of these teams that is ready, like Deshaun Watson could come to Philadelphia tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Philadelphia is infinitely better immediately,
Yeah.
but they're not competing with Tampa Bay. I don't think that if Drew Brees comes back, New Orleans has got it. I think their defense is great, but Drew Brees is too old, and if it isn't Drew Brees, it's Taysom Hill, and I don't think they make the playoffs with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, they might make it, but they'd squeak in.
Right. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers has got enough gas left in the tank alone. And if there's one thing we've learned from Green Bay over the course of 2 franchise quarterbacks in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, they don't put enough emphasis on positions of need. They don't give a shit about Aaron Rodgers' health. They just don't fucking care. They're all replaceable. Jordan Love just got drafted. We're ready for you to go. That's what that message was. So I don't think Green Bay is going to compete. If Chicago winds up with Carson Wentz, are they a dangerous team in the playoffs? I mean, Matt Nagy's good. I think he's got a good offensive line.
They're dangerous because their defense keeps them in every game, and I think the offense will make enough plays to do it. I mean,
Tony Parkey's going to hit the crossbar 7 times in 3 tries. That's just what happens to places like Chicago. They're not going to compete with Tampa Bay. I think the hottest take, if you will, of the 2021 NFL season is going to be Tampa Bay probably wins 12 or 13 games with Tom Brady at the helm, and they walk again through who gives a shit who you put up against me. They walk to the Super Bowl, and they win again. I don't see any other team being competitive.
So in the NFC, I'm very interested to see 2 things. I'm interested to see, obviously, if Miami can pry Deshaun Watson from Houston. And again, right now, I think we both think that nobody's prying Deshaun Watson from anywhere. But if they happen to, they're a very, very dangerous team, and they can draft for almost want instead of need at that point. It just makes them that much better. Unfortunately, there was a 6-10 team in our division that did it with a quarterback on one leg.
You're not going to say the New York Giants.
And if the Washington Redskins, with the defense that they have, happen to pull some kind of quarterback into their system,
the Washington football team had 7 wins, didn't they?
Were they 7-9?
They were 7-9, but that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. Listen, pal, you're not wrong, but you're not right. If they get a Matt Stafford, like for instance, let's say that they pulled that trade off instead of LA, they go from a 7-9 to a 9-7 team.
Yeah,
they're not competing with Aaron Rodgers. I don't give a shit who you are in Washington. When's the last time Washington has had real playoff experience? I mean, Ryan Kerrigan might be the only player on that team with a playoff game.
I think they got in once with Kirk Cousins, and that was it.
Yeah, so you were talking basically that whole defense is new, but Ryan Kerrigan. I mean, most of your offensive line is new. So there's not a lot of experience there. While they will improve, they're not a real threat to anybody, bro.
So what do you think about a bounce back year from the San Francisco 49ers?
I think that it's just as likely that Dakota Prescott comes back to the Cowboys and wins 12 games.
So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, I think San Francisco's key, again, just like you said about Washington, it's what do they do at quarterback?
Yeah.
Do you bring Jimmy Garoppolo back and run it back and maybe find a way? Maybe you're a 10-11 win team and you make some noise. But if you get a quarterback better than Jimmy Garoppolo, bro, again, Tampa Bay's defense was 2nd or 3rd overall this year. Now, obviously, Tom Brady is the X factor, right? But San Francisco with a top 3 defense and again, Matt Stafford, they could make some noise.
Yeah, I really think that there's going to be a quarterback that's going to want to play in New England. Guys opt back in,
You don't want to know who I think.
They have $70 million in cap space.
Yeah,
and the Colts have $80 million in cap space.
You don't want to know who I think ends up in New England, bro.
I obviously do. Let's talk about it.
I think it's possible that Bill Belichick, just to be able to get back into the playoffs right away, I really believe that it's possible that Bill Belichick finds a way to scrounge up $37 to $40 million on a 2-year deal and signs Dakota Prescott and fucks around and brings a real quarterback in behind Tom Brady.
You know, it keeps being reported the Cowboys are not close on a deal, and I don't know or understand how you could watch what happened last year to the Cowboys and not want to sign Dak Prescott to what he wants to be signed for.
Dude, Dakota Prescott was going to set records last year if he didn't shred his ankle.
Yeah.
When I tell you Aaron Rodgers MVP was nothing compared to what Dak Prescott would have had to have done to get 10 wins on that team, and they would have gotten there.
Yeah, you called me drunk the other day, but it would be real fucking cool. It'd be real fucking cool if they could find a way to trade Carson Wentz and then they pried Dak Prescott from the Cowboys and gave him the deal that they wanted.
So after you said that, and it's funny because you told me you were drinking early that day, and it was just
I'm on vacation.
Not to go to. I get it. That's what you do on vacation. I don't know what vacations are like. I got too many fucking kids as we've cleared up. So I don't know that I'd hate Dakota Prescott. My only question with Dakota Prescott is the injury now. You know what I mean? If I didn't go through torn ACL, broken back Carson Wentz, I think I would be fucking balls deep on Dak Prescott. But because of how severe that ankle injury was, I wonder what it does to his athleticism. I don't question the player of Dak Prescott because he's got heart. He's like Jalen Hurts is. Dak Prescott will go out there and die every day. Carson Wentz is a soft little fucking pillow princess. That's who he is. I think that he'll want it, but can he physically do it the same would be my question. It's really the X factor as to why you still won't accept Tua won't be a good quarterback because injuries are going to catch up. That's my only question on Dak. If I could get Dak, bro, if you came to me and say, hey, listen, Carson gets traded out, Jalen is going to be behind Dak Prescott. They signed him to a 2-year, $80 million deal, which is bonkers, $40 million a year for Dak Prescott. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
But they made the money work. I think I'd be happier than having Carson Wentz on this team.
I think the leadership qualities allow him to get more out of the offense, especially with a new coach. Let's divert for a second because there was a couple more reports that came out today that said Carson Wentz actually has a great relationship right now with Nick Sirianni, has a great relationship right now with Jeff Lurie, but won't answer Howie Roseman's phone calls. So it seems like Lurie is actually in a position right now where he's trying to see what the trade market is for Carson Wentz because he won't get rid of Howie Roseman. That's his boy. If Howie stays here and everybody's seeing what's going on with Carson Wentz, how do you keep that type of GM in the building when seemingly everyone that stays and everyone that leaves has something to say about it?
Well, I don't think that Howie Roseman's the long-term answer here. I think Howie Roseman is the get Jeff Lurie out of salary cap hell answer for the next 18 to 24 months.
Years, yeah.
And once they figure out the Fletcher Cox situation, the Brandon Graham situation, Lane Johnson, is Jason Kelsey retiring or is he staying? Jason Peters is finally gone and out the building. We don't have to worry about him anymore.
Hope.
What's happening? No, there's no hope, bro. Listen to me. You know what they say about hope. You can hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster. Yeah. Jason Peters is gone, homie.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, he has to be. He has to be. He has to be. If he's
so,
not, somebody
you
needs to go push him down a flight of stairs so he breaks his hip because he's 177. So I think that Howie is the short-term. Again, I said this on Sunday, bro. Jeff Lurie sees Howie Roseman for what he is. He's an attorney. He's a financial attorney. That's what he made his career in. He knows numbers. He knows laws. He knows clauses and fucking bylaws and circumvention rules, and this is what Howie Roseman does.
I understand. Why is he getting the permission from Lurie to be making football decisions?
Because Howie won't do it without the football decisions. And Jeff Lurie is looking at a guy who won Executive of the Year in 2017 because every single fucking move that Howie Roseman made in 2017 was striking gold. Every last one worked out. It never works out like that, let alone 100% of the time. So Jeff Lurie believes that Howie Roseman accomplished something. He saw something. I mean, how does Howie Roseman have any input in the draft when you take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson and Justin Jefferson sets records? How do you see a video of the Minnesota War Room laughing at you because you fucked up so bad? That is the type of shit that's starting to eat at Jeff Lurie. And I think he's willing to sacrifice Carson Wentz because he knows, bro. We sit here twice a week, you and I, and fucking yell at each other about what we think is happening with Carson Wentz. He knows, dog. He sees that guy every single day during the season. He knows what Carson Wentz is.
Yeah.
And I think he knows Carson Wentz is a fucking bum. And he has Jalen Hurts, which is why he signed off on the draft pick, because he's got a guy that's faced controversy before. He's going to step up. He's going to overachieve because that's what Jalen Hurts has done his whole life. And that's what I think.
So then if he thinks that of Carson Wentz, why hasn't the trigger been pulled on the trade yet?
Because they can't give him up for not enough. They will fuck up the barometer of quarterbacks for the next decade if they let him go for peanuts. That's the problem. The problem is you can't trade him for a bag of balls now. Now that you know that offer was real from Chicago, they've pulled it since, obviously, which is why Tariq Cohen was told he's staying. I believe that was a real offer. I mean, bro, I've never read a story that Adam Schefter told that was bullshit. So I trust real sources. And I think that this happened. I think the reason why they're waiting is because, like I said to you earlier, the first shoe to drop amongst the dozen that are in the air, everybody wants it to be Deshaun Watson. Everybody wants the top of the market to set the market, not the bottom, right? Matt Stafford happened because LA needed to make a move, and they needed to move on from Jared Goff. So LA makes the move. They sack up the compensation. LA has made such great decisions with trading their draft picks. I mean, using Aaron Donald, trading them in Jalen Ramsey. They've got tremendous outcomes with their trades, and now it's time to put the cherry on the sundae. That's why they made that move. They now dip their toe in the water of 33 years old with one playoff win and no other success is worth 2 firsts and a mid-round pick. So now the Eagles, who probably were ready to pull the trigger with Chicago 2 weeks before Matt Stafford was traded, have to go, well, wait a minute. My guy's 28. My guy's got way more time ahead of him. He's shown a way higher ceiling. We know what he'll do in your system, John DeFilippo. Pump that bitch up a little bit. We don't want that trade. And that's the game of cat and mouse that's going on until Deshaun Watson sets the market. If Deshaun gets 5 or 6 first-round picks, you can justify Matt Stafford and Carson Wentz being 2 firsts and a mid. If Deshaun Watson gets 3 1s, a 2, and a player, all of a sudden 2 1s and a mid-round pick for Matt Stafford and Carson Wentz look like a fucking lot. So they're waiting for the market to adjust to the top of the market. That's Deshaun Watson. And I think Houston's not going to let him go. I think that this is a game of cat and mouse that's never going to end until we get into training camp. And these fucking morons that run this goddamn franchise are going to hold on and hold on and hold on till all these teams find quarterbacks. Till Jimmy Garoppolo goes and signs in New England and Indianapolis finds somebody to come play for him, like Teddy Bridgewater out of Carolina or something. That's the type of shit that's going to happen. And we're all going to be sitting here dumbfounded going, how'd they fuck this one up again? And it's because of Howie Roseman.
Now, here's something else. So we know the Colts had an offer on the table, and we know that the Eagles seem to be using the Bears as leverage, maybe to get more from the Colts, but they're not sure the Colts actually had a big offer on the table. Frank Reich must not be too high on Carson Wentz, because if he thought Carson was the difference between getting to the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl, don't you think the Colts would trade that extra first-round pick?
Dude, it depends on Deshaun Watson. If you had to give this year's 1, next year's 1, and a 3 for Carson, or you had to give the next 4 years of 1s for Deshaun Watson, what do? You give 4 first-round draft picks and you get Deshaun Watson. Because every one of them is going to be between 26 and 32. Right. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So this is where the problem, this is the issue. When Matt Stafford went, everybody was like, here it comes. Here's the flurry. Matt Stafford went. That's the first roll of the snowball. It's going to turn into an avalanche. Everyone's going, where's the Deshaun Watson trade? And we all forgot about the Deshaun Watson trade because Carson Wentz acted like a moron. And Dak Prescott can't get a contract in Dallas. And Jimmy Garoppolo's got rumors going back to New England. The world started turning again. And then after a couple of weeks, here we stand. Carson not traded. No more rumors on other quarterbacks. Coach is still not hired on certain teams. Once that news cycle got stale and Tom fucking Brady won another Super Bowl, because that's just what Tom Brady fucking does, then everybody went, wait a minute, Deshaun Watson still hasn't gotten traded. So why the fuck are we negotiating over a worse product when we still have a shot at the best product? That's what's happening, bro. It's not just – and let me tell you something, dude. Every team that's been linked, Jacksonville, Miami, Indianapolis, Detroit, all these teams that talked about quarterback trades and have done them, they're all talking about Deshaun Watson. Like, you think that Howie Roseman's out there begging Chicago to take Carson Wentz and isn't on the phone with Houston saying, listen, this guy's young enough. We give you 3 firsts. Get him out of there. Let's give him a fresh start. We got an 18th overall pick wide receiver.
Those guys need fresh starts. Yeah.
We can help each other, guys. Like, Howie Roseman's made that call. And all 31 teams, I can't say 31, 30 of 31 teams, because I don't care who you are. You got Patrick Mahomes. You're not making a call on a quarterback. Tampa Bay probably looked because Deshaun Watson's that high in value. So until that shoe falls, bro, we're all going to be sitting here begging Howie Roseman to do his fucking job. And who cares? In 6 weeks, bro, I promise you this. If Carson Wentz still isn't traded, I'm going to open a show and say, give me Nick Foles back. I don't fucking care. Just get rid of Carson. I don't care. That's where it's going to get to if all of this shit stays spinning wheels, bro.
All right. Well, to stop the show real quick, and we'll get off in a second, but I know our guy is waiting for a shout-out, Justin. And our guy was
I saw him commenting on one.
He's not coming in. He's it's past his bedtime. He said he's watching. He's enjoying the show. He's not gonna hop.
It's my bedtime too, but I'm on this motherfucker.
We're gonna get him on here. But Jacob Hernandez, I don't know what the word is. We lost. We lost. We were very wrong. You were right. You were very confident in it, and we had every reason to believe that was going to happen. And listen. I was listening to Mad Dog. I love listening to Mad Dog on XM. They have a whole crew of great guys. And he was going through basically the same thing that I was going through with you, where I said, well, Tampa Bay's playing at home. And I'm like, okay, but Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes. That's your I lost hat.
I had to give him something. My brown bag's gone, so I found I have daughters, bud. This is the shit that's going around my house with my clown hat.
That's what you do when you watch Grey's Anatomy.
Well, that's me time. Don't put me time out here in the public. That's just me time.
But we kept making excuses why Tampa Bay. We knew Tampa Bay seemed like they had the better team. We kept saying, but Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid there. But Patrick Mahomes, and that was the excuse for everything. We were wrong.
I can't say it anymore, but I will say this. Tom Brady is the greatest professional athlete of all time. It's that simple, guys. And listen, I know there's a lot of people out there going, oh, if he does it a second year in a row, well, then we'll say it. That's because they're pissed off that Tom Brady doesn't play for their team.
You move the bar for the greats. You always do it.
Right. Well, listen, LeBron is still never going to be as clutch, even though he has more clutch shots, and he's never going to be as good in the playoffs, even though he has more playoff wins. And you always keep moving the bar.
Yes.
Always.
So we'll be back, guys, on Sunday. It is our bedtime. I'm ready to go to sleep. Justin's ready to watch his late night shows. And
I did my 2 hours of Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, so it's time to go to bed. We'll be back. We'll be back on Sunday, not talking football, probably talking Sixers, talking Carson Wentz if anything happens. Justin, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
We got to get Jacob on. So if you're still watching Jacob, you have to find the time on Sunday. Uh-oh. Aaron's got an Amber Alert or some shit. Yeah. What color car are you driving, motherfucker? I'm selling you out. But yeah, Jacob, you got to come on next week, bro, on Sunday. I guess it's this week. No, Sunday technically starts the week, so it would be next week. Whatever you want to call it. But we got to get Jacob on because I got to eat shit in person because I said that I would. Listen, dude, Tom Brady's the greatest athlete of all time. Kansas City, what a fucking tremendous disappointment. It's just kind of the worst thing that it might be worse than the LA Super Bowl. It might be. It was that bad and that embarrassing. The Sixers are still the team to beat in the East. There's nothing I've seen to convince me otherwise. I watched Kevin Durant with a healthy team struggle to defend fucking anybody. I feel like Duke could probably beat them in a 7-game series at this point.
Because out of here.
Duke can at least defend. I'm looking forward to Sunday to argue with you and tell you how fucking wrong you are.
Oh,
the
boy.
Nets don't have the East. Milwaukee looks as bad as I thought they would. Giannis Antetokounmpo is still the most overrated superstar in the NBA. Yeah. And that's about all I've got. And my clown hat. That's it.
We'll leave you with the hat. We'll be back on Sunday. We'll talk a lot of Sixers. We'll start getting into some Phillies baseball at some point, and we will be on either early or late. We'll figure it out. Big Facts, all streaming platforms, and we will see you guys.
It's probably going to be early
on Sunday. Take it easy.